Here's what I like to ask people who are anxious or have a lot of fear. What is the worst that can happen? I mean, really, what is the worst that can happen? Well, of course, the answer to that would be, I could die. And we're all going to die sooner or later. And there's really not going to be much we can do about that. I haven't heard of any exceptions yet, not ones that aren't just myth, of anyone outsmarting or outdoing death. We all leave this body and this world at some point or another. And one thing I've realized is that all fear boils down to, sooner or later, it gets down to fear for your survival. All anxiety is about survival instinct. It's that primal, I've got to survive. If we're afraid of people not liking us, then in the past, that meant we could be ostracized from our village, and then we're on our own, and then we can't survive without the support of our tribe. If somebody doesn't like us, maybe they'll kill us. If somebody doesn't like us, then maybe we won't be able to get the opportunities to have money and food and shelter, all the advantages that everybody who's liked does. These are primal fears that come from past life experiences that we remember all too well in our DNA. The other thing about fear is that when there's a fear that seems unfounded, or it's unconscious, or there's no reason for it. For instance, we're afraid of spiders, but we don't know why. Or we're afraid of snakes, and we don't know why. Or something, and we don't know why. Other people, perhaps. It's usually because there's some kind of an unconscious memory that hasn't been cleared, and we haven't made peace with that thing that might have happened, or that thing that might have imprinted us because we witnessed it for someone else, perhaps. It's not necessarily got to be our own experience in order to have that fear. A thing to do with fear or anxiety, which is also living in the future. Fear is living in the future. Anxiety is living in the future. Depression is living in the past. Anxiety is living in the future. The way to bring ourselves out of this fear or out of this anxiety is to live here in the present, to live here in the moment. Because normally, in any given moment, nothing is happening that you need to be afraid of. Maybe there are some moments where something you need to be afraid of is there, but most of the time, there's nothing to be afraid of. Really, there isn't. If you look around right now, while you're watching this video, is there anything around you that you need to be afraid of? Anything? So don't waste your energy being in fear or anxiety unnecessarily. It does have its uses. There's times when being afraid or having anxiety is a good thing. For instance, you're walking through the alley on a dark night in the city. You should be on guard. You should be afraid. You should be in fear in that moment. You should have anxiety because you're not in a good place. And when you know that you're not in a good place, what the fear and the anxiety tells you to do is stay on guard and get the heck out of there. Fear has its use. Anxiety has its uses. And that's one of them, is getting yourself out of a bad situation before something bad happens. That's what fear is for. That's what anxiety is for. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It makes you get out of the way when something terrible is about to happen. It makes you stay away from certain people, from certain situations, from certain experiences that you don't want to have. But if you use fear or have fear all the time, even when there's nothing there to be afraid of, you're wasting your energy. Simple as that. You're wasting your energy. You really are. And it can make you exhausted. It can make you really tired. I get really exhausted if I spend a long time in fear. And I used to have the fear and the anxiety thing, and it pops up now and then I'm just like, okay, I got to remember what this is and how to put it in its place. First thing I do is I ask myself, is there anything I have to be afraid of right now? And I look around, and there's not. If there's not, then I let that go. And I'm like, okay, that's just a program running. If there's something to be afraid of, for instance, I'm in a situation where I'm not comfortable, then I ask, okay, what's the worst that can happen? And usually the worst that can happen is something goes wrong, or maybe somebody says something to me that isn't nice, or, for the most part, that's as bad as it's going to get. Or somebody doesn't like me, or I don't get something I want. That's pretty much the worst that's going to happen. But if it's a bad feeling, if it's this is not the right place for me, I really shouldn't be here, then I ask myself, what do I need to do about this situation? And usually the answer is leave. So it's actually really simple to handle your fears. It's actually really simple to take whatever actions are needed in any given moment where your fear is concerned. If you're sitting in fear all the time, though, and you're not going through these processes, through these questions, number one, is there actually anything to be afraid of right now? Look around? No. If the answer is yes, do something about it. What do you need to do about it? What's the worst that can happen? Okay, if I want to avoid that, then maybe I should leave the area. Leave the presence of this person, or leave the presence of this environment that isn't healthy for me, that isn't good for me. It really is that simple. It really is that simple. I mean, this is it. This is the easy 1, 2, 3 way to handle fear and anxiety and not be a slave to this feeling anymore, not be a victim of this fear and this anxiety programming that all of us have to some extent or another, but some have it more than others. If you want to be free of this, this is how it is. This is how simple it is. To literally ask yourself, do a reality check. Any moment that you feel the fear or the anxiety, do a reality check. And sometimes you can't get out of the situation, or maybe you don't want to because maybe you're challenging yourself. For instance, maybe you're challenging yourself to, okay, I'm going to be around all these people who I'm afraid of because they might not like me. I'm going to be around this and try to have courage and see if maybe I'm being silly about being worried about everybody not liking me. I mean, do you see how silly this can get? How silly fear can get? When in reality, you're shining like a beautiful star. Nobody's actually having any weird thoughts about you at all. And in fact, they're all wondering if you like them. So put all this in perspective, because the fear thing is a waste of precious, precious energy. You could use this anxiety energy, this fear energy, you could use this in such a better way, such a more efficient and useful use of this energy. If you are just in anxiety or you're in fear, you're spinning wheels. You are spinning wheels. You've got the brakes on when the car wants to go. So let yourself be free of this program now. Really, be free. Be free, be free, be free of fear. Because if something bad is going to happen, and there are moments when something bad does happen, then just handle it. Handle it when something bad happens. If someone doesn't like you, handle it. If you don't get something that you want, handle it. If some kind of disappointment happens, or you lose money or somebody steals while you're traveling and you lose your camera or something, handle it. Just handle it. Don't spend all this time being in fear. Usually you can recover from just about anything in life. Literally, you can recover from anything. Everything and everything. There is nothing you can't recover from. Some things are going to be a little harder to recover from or not. Or for instance, if it's a physical injury that can't be repaired, it's a permanent damage, you'll still figure out a way around it. You'll still figure out a way to have a good life. You can. There's lots of stories about people who ended up in a wheelchair and they figured out how to have a beautiful, meaningful life. Of course, that's not any of our wishes or desires for our personal life, of course, to have such a bad thing happen where we have to... But if that's our karma and that's what our soul agenda is, it's not an accident, it's always a soul agenda. If that's a chosen path, it's never just an accident. Anyone who has that happen, it's because their soul was ready to handle that in this lifetime. So don't let yourself be a slave to fear. Don't let yourself have these chains around you of anxiety. Shed these chains, shed all of this now, and say, okay, if something bad happens, I'm going to handle it. I'll deal with it when it happens. If it happens, 99% of the time it doesn't even happen, and we just wasted all that energy. If it happens, I'll handle it. If it doesn't happen, then I'm just going to have a good time until I get there. Just something bad happening, if it even happens. I hope that can help put it in perspective a little bit on how to handle fear. That's how I handle it. I believe that it really cuts to the core and really cuts to the chase. It's as direct as it gets. Is there something to be afraid of? What do I need to do if there is? And if there's not, relax. That's how I figured out how to get out of the prison of fear. It's a box, it's a prison, it's a cage, and it makes it so you can't enjoy your life. You cannot create a good life where you're living your full potential and enjoying yourself and having joy in your life. You can't do it as long as you keep the chains of fear on your neck. And so you have to just, all right, I surrender to whatever the universe is going to do with me. If this is supposed to happen, I surrender. If that is supposed to happen, I surrender. In the meantime, I'm going to enjoy my present moment. I'm going to enjoy my present moments. They're good moments. So I hope that helps, because at the retreats, when people come to my retreats, over and over and over and over and over again, I'm dealing with people who have so much anxiety, so much fear, and it really is a simple solution. Really simple. And it's sad for me to see so many people imprisoned by this emotion, so many people who haven't figured out how to transcend that. And I hope that this can help you, because we need all of you angels to be holding heaven frequencies, and we need you to be enjoying yourself. We need you to be happy. We need you to be anchoring joy in this planet, in this world, in this reality, especially since we're in a paradigm shift now, and it really counts. Well, how much of the population is holding joy? How much of the population is holding heaven on earth? How much of the population is in the light? Is in this awakening kindness and sweetness and joy? Well, you got to be one of those if you want to contribute to the solution rather than be part of the problem. Oh, we got elections that are going crazy, right? And we have the world crisis and the COVID and pandemic, and oh my God, I might die if I catch a flu. And there's all this fear. Here's the thing. Prevention of that which you fear is just as important. For instance, if you are afraid that you could die from the COVID-19, you have to be as healthy as you can. So do the preventative measures that you need to do. I'll talk about prevention in another video because it's another subject. Right now, just make sure that you aren't wasting your energy on fear and anxiety of things that might not ever happen and most likely won't. Be joyful, be heavenly, be sparkly, be bright, enjoy your life. That's what your real work is here to do right now, is to just enjoy your life. Really, all the humans have the same purpose right now. Learn how to enjoy our lives. Learn how to enjoy ourselves. And if we can do that, we've already made a huge step toward the utopian world that we want to create. We have to live the utopian world before it arrives en masse, before it manifests. We have to be the energy of that manifests. So, here we go. 007 Secret Agent of Love. Let yourself out of the prison of fear right now. Be happy, be joyful, and don't fall into the holes and the traps of fear.